Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is David. Thanks for stopping by. If you're new to drawing or trying to get back into drawing and art and up your drawing and sketching skills, you might run into the problem of what should I draw? So I thought it'd be fun to put together this video and share with everybody some common things that are probably in your house or where you live right now that don't cost any money and are great things to look at and observe, to use to study form and shape and proportion, and make it easy for you to draw every day and get in the habit of drawing from life, even more importantly. So I stumbled upon this seagull, just a decor item I have in my house, and I thought what a great thing to draw because it is broken down into these flat planes. And if you watch any of my other videos, you may have heard me talk about how it's really helpful to draw shapes and not things. So decorative objects that you have around you are a great thing to look at and use to draw and study from, because number one, it's something that you're observing from life, so to speak. I know obviously it's not an animated object, but you're observing and drawing from life versus a photograph, and that's so much better than drawing from a photograph because you're going to see shape and shadows and lighting so much more accurately versus what's lost through photography. So look around your house and try to grab objects that are conducive to showing form and reflecting light, and just grab something that you love and start sketching it. Okay, so getting more into some of the more mundane objects you might have around your house. Everybody has coffee mugs. I would think everyone has coffee mugs. I don't want to assume, but that's a common object, common household object that is great for drawing and sketching because it shows form. It's not super easy to draw because of the handle and the shape of these, but they come in a lot of very different shapes and they capture and reflect light really easily. So what a great thing to study. Fruit is also a great subject to draw. Most people have fruit in their house, and they come in a variety of shapes and very easy to set up and light and start sketching. And another great common thing that you might have around your house is packaging. You know, we live in this world where everybody's getting things delivered, and it's not helping things in the environment with just all of this inundation of packaging we have. So why not try to find a new use for that? You can paint the packaging different colors, paint it white. I have these that I've painted primary colors because I use these for oil studies. But for drawing and sketching, I would just recommend, taking a white acrylic and painting the outside of the packaging so that it'll capture light and shadow with more contrast so that you could see the form. So once you figure out what common objects you want to use to study and draw from, it's really helpful to put them on some sort of a neutral backdrop. And this is really easy to do by just grabbing some old linens or towels, blankets, etc. And just grab colors that are neutral, like white's a great one, gray is a great neutral backdrop to have. And the reason I recommend doing this is, especially using white, it's going to help to isolate the form and the shadow that is on the object and make it more clear to you. So on this example here of the coffee mugs, when you look at the white mug in the center on the handle, there's pretty dramatic contrast in the light to dark. And isolating and putting these mugs on a white backdrop, you see that contrast more clearly than you would if it was in just a setting against your kitchen, for example. So there's really just a pretty endless variety of backdrops you could use. Here I'm using baking sheets. You can see the reflected drop shadow in the metal of the baking sheet reflecting the light of the fruit. So it just gives you another complexity and challenge in your drawing and what you're studying. As you find different fabrics and materials to use as a backdrop. Another added layer of challenge and complexity is to draw the folds in the fabric. This will force you to develop more of a sense of deeper observation and thinking about the objects in a space and showing a believable representation of those objects in space. And another thing you can do that I'm not showing here is to put a light source onto the objects and onto the scene against that backdrop. So, even if you just have a lamp that you take the shade off of and position it so it's casting light onto the objects, and then turn down the lights in the room so there is more contrast between the lighting. So as you look around where you live and try to find these everyday objects that you can draw and study from, I think another filter you want to put on that decision is grab things that you like or have an interest in. So if you don't like coffee mugs, for example, then don't draw them, because if you don't have a connection to the object and you don't like it, that, even if it's a subtle emotion, that's going to come through in the drawing. I guess the good news is if it's in your house already, that probably means you or whoever you live with picked it out and you probably already like the object, so it's probably not a barrier. But it just kind of goes back to the idea of inspiration and art. You should always try to connect with a subject matter that you have a little bit of a passion or interest for. So on that note, is there any other object or thing in your house that you love? I think everybody would agree that if you're a pet owner, our furry little friends are something we love, and what a great subject matter to draw. So obviously it's going to be hard to have a pet sit still for you and allow you to observe it and draw it for an extended period of time. So I would just snap off a ton of photos of your pet moving around and in action and different poses, and just compile those in your photo app or in a PDF, so you have those available and you have just a variety of extended different source material of your pet in different positions to draw from. But if you happen to capture your pet napping or sleeping, you can probably get them sitting still for 5 to 10 minutes, and then this allows you to do direct observation from life, which is always the best way to go when drawing. So I hope you found some of these inspiring and helpful. Maybe it gave you some ideas about things you have readily available around your house that don't cost any money and that would provide an endless amount of resource material for you to learn and study from. Well, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.